Okay, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to bring you part two of my Week 12 NFL picks and predictions. We called the first video yesterday. I went 4-1 last week, so trying to keep that hot streak going. Did three games for you in yesterday's video. Gonna do three again this morning in this video for 6 games total for this NFL Sunday. I'm gonna start it off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6-point favorite visiting the New York Giants. Haven't seen this line move at all. So first, for the big news with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Mike Evans is supposed to be back. He's expected to play and expected to play with zero restrictions. So you should get 100% Mike Evans today going against a Giants secondary that is 23rd in the league, allowing 7.5 yards per attempt. Wanted to note here, when you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing stats, just keep in mind you you have to break out with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and without. So with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's, Baker Mayfield was over 8 yards per attempt. Now I know Chris Godwin's out for the year, but with Mike Evans coming back, expect him to have a much better game than Baker has been playing. And Baker hasn't been playing badly either, but now expect him to look even better against this Giants secondary. Then when you're looking at the run, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers averaging 125 yards per game. They got the committee backfield going with Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker, Rashad White, going against the Giants' run defense, 147 yards per game, 29th in the league. I believe they allow averaging over 5 yards per carry. This is you can make the argument this is the worst run defense in the NFL. So while they're not going against a top running back for Tampa Bay with that committee, and these guys do different things well, Rashad White slashing, Bucky Irving with speed, Sean Tucker adding a little bit of power. Expect the Buccaneers to be able to move the ball on the ground and balance out back Baker Mayfield in that passing attack. On the Giants side, passing the ball, if you haven't heard, which I'm sure everybody has, Daniel Jones got benched and then got released. They're going to go with Tommy DeVito, quarterback who kind of became like a social media sensation last year, but mainly because of his celebrations and his Italian heritage more so than his play. If you actually watch Tommy DeVito play, you can see that he's a pretty bad quarterback. In this game, it should be noted that there's going to be windy conditions out there in North Jersey. It's supposed to be 15 miles per hour wind at kickoff, and it's supposed to be windy throughout the game. So Tommy DeVito with his pop gun arm against the Buccaneers defense and the wind. I don't like that for the Giants. Malik Neighbors, by the way, is questionable, but he's supposed to play. Even still, Tommy DeVito's got one guy to throw to who isn't going to be 100% in windy conditions. I don't see the Giants passing game going anywhere in this game. I do like Tyrone Tracy running the ball. He's giving the Giants something on the ground, but now you're going to go against a stacked box and against the Buccaneers. I don't think anybody in the league is probably going to respect DeVito's arm, especially in a windy game like this for the Buccaneers. So go ahead and give me the Buccaneers, and I'm going to lay the 6 in this one, as I don't think the Giants are going to do much scoring. Next up, we're going to talk Broncos Raiders. Broncos 6-point favorite on the road. For me, this game scream is all about the Broncos defense versus the Raiders offense. That's the matchup that's going to decide this one. So first off, let's look at the running game. The Raiders are dead last in the league, averaging 75 yards rushing per game. Now, on top of that, you have their top two running backs out, Zamir White, Alexander Madison. They're not anything special, but both of them are out. So now you're going to your third string back. Raiders third string back, Amir Abdullah. You play fantasy football. This is not a guy I would be starting this week. So I'm expecting nothing from the Raiders running game against a Broncos run defense that's sixth in the league. Now you have talk Gardner Minshew in the Raiders passing attack. They average 6.4 yards per attempt. The reality is it's not really all on Gardner Minshew. He doesn't have a legitimate number one receiver outside. In fact, I'd argue he doesn't have a legit number two receiver outside. And now you're going against a Broncos secondary that's one of the best in the league, allowing 6.4 yards per attempt. So the Raiders shouldn't be able to run it. They shouldn't be able to throw it. And then defensively, two of their top three corners are out for this game, Jacorian Bennett and Nate Hobbs. And their third, Jack Jones, is questionable. They haven't ruled yet if he's going to play or not. So now you're going against Bo Nix, who's, I'm not going to say he's a top quarterback, but he's certainly much better than he was earlier in the season. He's kind of hot, right? Against that passing attack against these backup corners for the Raiders, I just don't really like that matchup for the Raiders secondary. definitely don't like the matchup for the Raiders offense against this Broncos defense. They shouldn't do much scoring. So for me, if the Broncos hit 20, they should cover, and I expect them to hit at least 20 in this game. Go ahead and give me the Broncos, and I'm going to lay the 6. And final game, we have the another divisional matchup. It's going to be in the NFC West. The Cardinals visiting the Seahawks. Seahawks come to this game as a 1-point favorite. First thing I want to point out in this game is it's supposed to be raining at kickoff, and it's supposed to be raining throughout the game. So in these kind of conditions, first thing I want to talk about is turnovers. Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals have been pretty good at protecting the ball. They're top 10 in the league in terms of giveaways this season, while the Seattle Seahawks are near the bottom. Geno Smith he's gonna throw it to the other team, and this is a game that I expect he might throw it to the other team. He might, in these wet conditions, fumble the ball. If I'm comparing the two quarterbacks, Kyler Murray versus Geno Smith, who's likely to turn the rock over is definitely Geno Smith. So I think that's a red mark against the Seahawks offense. And then let's talk running game in these kind of conditions. What are you really going to look at? You're going to look at Kenneth Walker, who I think is a good back, but the Seahawks are near the bottom in terms of rushing yards per game this season, mainly because they've been a passing team that's always been trailing. Or you're going to look at the Arizona Cardinals with James Conner and Kyler Murray running the ball, top 5 in the league against the Seahawks run defense that really can't stop anyone. And in these kind of conditions, you got to give that to Arizona Cardinals. So what I see is I see the Cardinals being able to run the ball. I see the Seahawks probably turning it over once or twice, giving those extra possessions to the Cardinals in this game. I know it's in Seattle, divisional matchup. They're at home. The Seahawks are at home, but give me Arizona. I mean, you could say +1 if you want to, but I think Arizona's going to win this game outright. So anyway, that wraps it up. That's 3 games I did in this video. So we've got taking the Cardinals money line or +1 or whatever you want to call it. We're going with the Broncos laying the 6, Bucks laying the 6 to go along with yesterday's picks, which were the Texans laying the 8 versus the Titans, the Packers laying the 5.5 against the injury depleted 49ers, and the Detroit Lions laying the 7.5 on the road in Indianapolis. So anyways, if you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that, as you're going to see my YouTube handle here in a few seconds. Take care.